To be honest, this should have been very straightforward to just stream this. But Konami doesn't make anything very straightforward at all. And I just want nothing to do with them as a company. But this developer deserves every bit of playtime imaginable for doing the work that they have done for years on end to give a very proper and fair analysis on everything they've done with their work. And Konami can fuck right off. So if you don't follow the YouTube channel, you can check it out. There's community posts there on a lot of different things regarding Silent Hill 2 Remake for me. Probably won't be playing anything for a while on the channel itself. For probably a good week or so, checking this thing out because this is the remake of one of my favorite games. It is a series that is my favorite horror series, and has a pretty deep meaning, as I'm sure a lot of people are doing right now. I am simply just another one of those purists. So we're starting off at the Woodside Apartments. I played the first part of the town, the introduction, and I even replayed on another save file when I came back to my own stream setup here, because I was playing in the living room on a 4K TV with HDR and all that, because I wanted to see how the game would look, and to no surprise whatsoever, the game looks fucking great. It does have some performance issues on PS5 though, and some weird quirkiness with the PS5 optimization, but besides that, game looks very current gen, Unreal Engine 5 showcase here, and what better way to do that for me personally, and I'm sure for a lot of other people, than to depict a Silent Hill universe in Unreal Engine 5. It literally reminds me of one of those, fan remake, Unreal Engine remake videos that you would see for so many popular games, but the only difference is that a professional studio did it instead of a fan with one person. So it's a lot more fine-tuned and things make a little more sense. So, like I said, I played through the first part of the town and went through all my settings, did all the settings, and we're gonna go play more here, starting at Woodside Apartments. So, obviously a lot of people are big fans of the original game. This is one of those pieces of media that goes beyond the norm of just being a video game or just being entertainment. This is one of those pieces of entertainment that is a little more important than that. And Silent Hill 2 is a pretty big benchmark for horror in general over the past 20 plus years. We literally just played a game that heavily inspires from Silent Hill concepts, and that is Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 takes a good amount of Silent Hill concepts and puts it into their own Remedy's universe with that game, and that game is literally incredible. So I just played Alan Wake 2 for the last week now, which is a very, very unique type of game in a modern day. That is a niche, authentic horror game in a modern day space. Silent Hill 2 Remake from Bloober Team is taking one of those old school niche survival horror games from the early 2000s, and they are trying to transform it into a traditional modern horror title for everybody to enjoy. And I mean everybody. From the difficulty options that you see for combat and puzzles and how they balance the difficulty options this time around, to the customization options, to the unlockables, to whatever the hell this is. And I want to talk about this because this is just comical. And there's a lot of options. This is a AAA budget game from Bloober Team. They had budget for this game, and my god, can you tell, because there's a lot of options here at your disposal. And And a lot of them do a lot of very cool things, and thankfully they're here. Because this game, by nature, from 2001, is a very simplistic, stripped down, somber, naturally looking video game on the PS2. And this remake takes spiritually from that original game and makes it into a full-blown AAA budget cinematic modern day horror experience, which is going to have natural contrasts from the original game because of its nature of the concept behind the whole design of the remake. It is different, but it's also the same. But it's different because it's a remake. It's a modern day remake. So that is really the introduction, I guess, to Silent Hill 2 Remake for anybody unaware. I guess I'll give quick impressions for the first part of the town before going to Woodside Apartments. So I am here. So as you can see, 256.42. It took me almost 3 hours to get to Woodside Apartments because I looked at a lot in the first part of the town. And I'm playing on hard for both combat and puzzle. And then I replayed a section when I came back to my streaming setup to check out some other parts of the town that I actually did miss, and checked out some technical stuff behind the game too. I think Bloober Team, I fully understand like a lot of the critique that Bloober gets for their older titles, because I played them all. And I feel like for this one specifically, this is a highly prolific type of remake to put together, and a lot of people, man, are like gonna do a lot of talking. And I fully understand if there's like an insane amount of pressure behind that, but the concept behind remaking a game like Silent Hill 2 just seems so utterly out there and almost impossible that it's like, if Bloober has this game working and it just is consistent with what it wants to be, then I feel like Bloober would probably succeed at being able to pull a version of Silent Hill 2 off in a modern day. So far, that seems to be the case for at least the very first part of the game, where it takes spiritually from the original game and tries to replicate it into a modern day, over-the-top cinematic horror experience. That's what it seems to be doing so far. And there's some similarities that are very cool, there's some throwbacks that are very cool, but there's also the change of it being a remake. And a lot of people love comparing it to Resident Evil, because of course they do. Konami literally created Silent Hill back in 1999 as a competitor, and they manufactured this bullshit debate on the internet for over 20 plus years. People still do it, and I hate it, because Silent Hill and Resident Evil are two entirely different entities of horror. But it is very obvious that Bloober Team does inspire from some of those Resident Evil remake concepts. And some of it works really, really well, and some of it kind of deviates from the original Silent Hill 2. Because Silent Hill is not Resident Evil. Silent Hill depends on its narrative. It depends on a lot of its visual storytelling. It depends on a lot of its character interactions and memo reading and puzzle solving. Whereas Resident Evil is a little more accessible, I would say. Like, there's a story there that makes sense and it's basic. And there's the characters that are all very likable and over the top. But it's a very different type of tone. It's more gameplay focused around fighting zombies or whoever we're fighting in a Resident Evil game. Inventory management, gameplay mechanics. Puzzles that basically are just barriers to entry to somewhere else in a Resident Evil game. Not really a whole lot of incredible thought brain power behind it. It's just basically a little barrier. Silent Hill is the opposite of that. Silent Hill is more, how should I describe this? Silent Hill is more spiritual in concept. It is more natural in concept. The puzzles are very thoughtful. The gameplay is a little more simplistic. The combat is a little rough around the edges. All the characters are very normal people. They don't have a whole lot of big, huge personalities. They're very subtle in approach. So, understand that from somebody who plays the original titles, and a lot of people that play the original games are, that if you find them on Twitch and you find them on YouTube, they will tell you all about it. The concern for a studio like Bloober Team recreating something like something as subtle in nature as Silent Hill 2 can be was that Bloober Team is extremely over the top when it comes to design, artistic design, and it comes to concepts. So the question was, could they tone it down when they remake something along the lines of Silent Hill 2? And so far, I've played all the Bloober titles. And so far, from the first part of the town and the Woodside Apartments, Bloober has seemed to tone down some of their concepts stuff. They definitely didn't tone down the artistic direction, though. It's very out there, and is very cinematic looking, and it's very over the top at times, but also a bit covered up by the fog, which creates trying to create the more somber tone. But they do get a bit out there and a little modernized when it comes to audio design here. The ambient sounds a little over the top for the beginning of the game. When it comes to those ambient sounds, sometimes it's just kind of ridiculous. It almost jump scares me. But it seems to work well for the modern day. I will say that the first part of the town feels a little more structured, whereas the original game is a little more free for you to explore the streets. You can't go into stores or into restaurants or into anything in the original game, but it allows you to just sort of run around freely once you go through that first enemy encounter along those streets that you can go through. Whereas the remake is a little more structured by design. It really structures you into your first enemy encounter, and the enemy encounter takes a little bit longer to get to. And then it also has a lot of barriers around the town that you can't really go around unless you do a particular thing, which is creating modern diversity of gameplay there to fill up the town and interact with the town. And then they also create new notes and new things to look at to create some more gameplay and more quantity of things to do around the town other than just look at things on the street. And some of it is interesting concept for sure, but it's just different. And depending on how you look at it, you may like it or you may not like it. And so far I don't mind some of it, but it feels very structured, which going up and down the town, making it feel really linear and structured, feels strange. Because you can freely walk up and down the streets so far, but only in particular moments. There's a lot of barriers to get through things. Some of it's cool, like for example, the one thing I find very cool about the first part of the town is the Grand Market. In the original game, the Grand Market, on the entrance level, on the floor, on the ground, would give you ammo and it'd give you heals before you get to Woodside Apartments. In the remake here, the Grand Market is something you can walk into, but the barrier there is you have to go to the side and open a door via a keypad. And you have to find the note for the hint on what the keypad combination is, which you can't find, because as free as it can be, like in the original game, it's still a small slice of the town, so eventually you'll run into that note at some point. And since everything is more structured here, you definitely will run into that note at some point. And when you walk in there, there's tons of ammo and heals as a tribute to the original game's concept of putting items in the Grand Market area. Also, there are throwbacks for notes and particular item placements from the original game. The coolest thing I've ever experienced in a horror game, and it happens here in Silent Hill 2, is how they give you a tutorial to face enemies. The original Silent Hill 2 gives you a tutorial to face enemies by going down a street, on a foggy ass street, to a dead body, and there's notes lying around the entire dead body that depicts a very particular human that you are controlling. And when you read those notes, it literally is giving you a flat out tutorial and context over what is happening in the game and what you have to do in order to face enemies. And it's a very cool concept for a tutorial, but I understand it's a bit outdated. So the cool thing here is that Bloober, in this first part of the town, they're trying to modernize things, make things a little more understandable, providing more context for things. But at the same time, the very cool thing that Bloober's doing here is that as different as things can be, they are sticking to the source material of Silent Hill 2. They do have those notes in the game. It's a little more simplistic by nature, but it's there. And not only are the notes still there, I do believe it's pretty cool how where they implemented in that part of the town, on what street they implemented on, where there's like a whole bunch of things happening there. And there's enemies there for you to basically experiment with that. So the cool thing here that Bloober seems to be doing is that they are sticking to the source material, despite everything being and feeling so much different from the original game. They are still sticking to that source material of Silent Hill 2 here, and even more so to the point where they're adding context. I want to reference a review that I think is objectively wrong about this remake, because if this reviewer actually played this, they would have never said this. And that review is the one that people are memeing about from Games Radar, where they give it a 70 out of 100, which is a very good score for a game. It's just that when people see yellow, that means it's like bad, because that's what people do on the internet. They're simpletons. They don't fucking think. They see yellow and they're like, wow, that's bad. But 70 is still good. But the point is here is that one of the cons they placed for the remake here is that the Bloober is staying too close to the source material. When it comes to a remake of a game like this, there is objectively no way to argue that sticking too close to the source material is a bad thing here. Silent Hill 2's story is one of the most well-constructed stories in any horror game ever made. And if you've ever played, I mean like really ever played Silent Hill 2, and you ever dove into the concepts and the little details of Silent Hill 2, you would understand it. If you just blew through the fucking game and just read all the, a couple notes and watched all the cutscenes, you did not play the story of Silent Hill 2, to be quite honest with you. That sounds gatekeepy, and that sounds extremely elitist, but it's just simply the fact that Silent Hill 2 is designed as a way for you to experience it by dissecting it. Dissecting the small details, dissecting notes, dissecting things you see in the game, dissecting dialogue in cutscenes. It's just not designed to just like blow through it. You can if you want to, but there's so many things that you miss out on when you don't dive into the story more. And there's just so much misinformation on the internet too about Silent Hill in general, but especially with Silent Hill 2, to the point where even official sources of developer interviews might even be misleading towards the game. And they made the fucking game. It's just a very unique situation for Silent Hill, having so much misinformation. So, this particular reviewer says, when it comes to sticking to the source material here, I would have liked I would have liked to see just a touch of an update here and there, like tweaks to characters, dialogue, or plot progression. Sticking so closely to the original means a few things feel out of touch, while some moments of recreated 2001 narrative or game design can feel clunky. A few later areas also feel a bit bloated after fleshing out a minor puzzle. That might be a thing, but I want to highlight just everything I just said about sticking close to the source material. I don't know what this reviewer played, but literally just in the first part of the town alone, Bloober has actually tried to expand simple concepts from the first game. There is a note that you read in the first part of the town that is depicted from a fucking photograph that you just see on a wall later on in the game. And they made it that particular thing that you see that you read about in the photograph in the original game, and they made that thing out in a full-fleshed like letter, fleshing out some of its background of lore. In the first part of the town, where you walk into I forgot where you walk into. I don't know if it's like a library or something, but when you walk into this interior and you read that memo, it's like, oh shit, that's something that we just kind of minorly glimpsed at in the original game on a wall. Almost feeling like they even I don't know if they took from another Silent Hill title to build up that lore for that particular thing, but they built that source material up with more context and more reinforcement behind it, based off of that one little thing you see in the original game on a fucking wall. And I just thought that was I just thought that was surprising, because I knew, I don't know how well they know everything about the game, but I know they know what Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 is, because if you play their original games, their actual original titles, like an Observer, like a fucking Medium, which is just, you know, some things I think in Blair Witch, Layers of Fear, they take concepts from Silent Hill, literally rips it from Silent Hill straight up. So they're very aware of what Silent Hill is. But the thing I find interesting is that it seems like they really did do some of a deep dive here. And the fact that they are sticking so close to the source material here, at least in the very beginning, is very... it's not only appreciated, but it's a sigh of relief. Because I don't know, this reviewer doesn't seem to comprehend the Silent Hill series over the last 20 years. It's been a mess. Silent Hill as a series has not been respected by literally anybody that's developed the game for almost 2 decades. The fact that Bloober is actually sticking so close to this source material for one of the most important stories in a game is very, very cool. And I don't know what the fuck that reviewer played at all. They did not play the game. Which is why I don't take reviews of any Silent Hill content seriously. That is one of the big reasons why a lot of people were so critical of this announcement that Bloober was going to remake this game. Before all the footage was shown of it, before the trailers, before everything, before this marketing push over the last month or so. It's because of Bloober's past history with their games and how they depict mental health and how they depict real life situations, especially the fucking Medium, and how the series by Konami has been so mismanaged for 2 decades. For literally 2 fucking decades. Of just extremely average to below average to just straight up bad Silent Hill titles. And being licensed out to studios that completely misinterpret the work of the original game and just end up making up their own shit instead. So even this is a remake. This is not an original game, in which I may remind people that not every Western Silent Hill game was original either. Shattered Memories is a reimagining of Silent Hill 1. That exists, and that completely changes the source material of the first game to a level where it's unrecognizable. So just because this is a remake, you know, doesn't mean that Bloober had to stick to original game source material. They could have done something very similar to Shattered Memories here. with Silent Hill 2, which would have been absolutely fucking egregious. It would have been insanely egregious. But they could have done that. They seem... Bloober seems particularly confident in their abilities. It would have not surprised me if they would have maybe at one point, maybe even for a glimpse of a second, thought about doing something like that. It would have not surprised me. So the fact that this remake is so close, at least so far, to the source material in the very beginning, tells me something. That for the first time in 20 fucking years, there is a studio that is not the Team Silent group of developers that all changed between Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and 4, by the way. This is the first studio that is actually respecting the source material of Silent Hill, of those original games. And there's a couple things that I understand here in this situation too. I understand that it has been 20 years since we've had a Silent Hill 4, 3, 2, or 1, and that there are people in this fandom that have only played some of these Western games. They've only played something like the HD collection for Silent Hill 2, or they only played the PC version, and thankfully, there is a portion of the Silent Hill community still that exists, despite all the mismanagement by Konami, that likes to preserve things, and the enhanced edition on PC exists for at least a very respectable experience, that people have only played that for Silent Hill original titles. Because the series has been so mismanaged for so long. And I understand that Bloober has to account for not only, maybe those fans of the original game, but also for people who just like playing modern games, that are used to playing modern games, that are not used to playing older titles. So it seems like they're sticking to source material for the veteran fans of the series, but they're also creating modernized gameplay here and modernized takes on things for people who are used to playing newer titles. And I understand that whole dynamic of how challenging that can be. So for so far, up to the apartments, things have been spiritually very consistent, but also visually and gameplay-wise very, very different. People compare it to the Resident Evil remakes, but it's definitely not Resident Evil. It's not even fucking close. It is definitely in the spirit of Silent Hill philosophy. Some people just don't know how to have a conversation about things because they probably don't know what they're talking about most of the time. But that is at least my positive so far for this, even after 3 hours only playing a very small portion of the game. Another thing I want to highlight before I begin as well is Bloober's ability to create a damn good option menu. This is by far their biggest project and their most ambitious project, and this is the most they've ever done in any of their games. And this settings menu is legit. It's really cool. And it does help a lot with turning things on or off that I don't want to keep on or off. They do have like presets, but I think people should just seriously do a custom regardless. They have the retro preset here that they talked about before the game launch, but it doesn't turn off absolutely everything that I would want, and it also turns off like subtitles and shit, which I definitely would not want that off. But some of the settings here are very, very cool. Like the reticle setting here, you don't need the reticle to look like a proper reticle for a particular weapon. You can just have it be a dot. The reticle thickness is very nice. The opacity is nice. Color is great. The ammo display can be dynamic on or just completely off. This is such an egregious fucking visual, and I literally posted on my Threads account the alternative to having a health indicator on your screen, because when this shit is on, it is ridiculously blinding. Like, I hope Bloober understands that this blinds the player's view. Like, it doesn't even look that bad in the screenshot. It looks even worse in the game. But the alternative for this that they do that is very fucking cool is they pulse the DualSense controller, pulse the light bar. You can't really see it on my black and white webcam, but they pulse your health bar, pulsing it on the light bar of the DualSense to indicate your health level. And not only do they pulse it, but there's also vibration to it too, just like the original game. It's not as tight as vibration as the original game, but it's very cool visually, and you can feel it too when you're low on health. So you don't need this on, thank God. They have an alternative for it, and the alternative is really cool. And then this thing you can turn on and off too. I might turn it off at some point. And then you have the interaction icons, which could be a dot or a button icon, and you can have it be big or tiny. I was going to turn it off, but quite frankly, being a modern game and all, I don't trust it. I don't trust this game enough for me, or I don't trust myself either to like be able to find what an item is and what it isn't, because again, in the original games and PS2 games, older games, they would highlight items without the icons by simply putting a light on it, like a baked light on it, so that you can actually see that it's an item to pick up. And it can be hard to see it, or it can be deceiving if you're not used to playing like older titles, but they would have that as like a thing. Or in Silent Hill 2, if you shine your flashlight or something on an item, it would shine. It would like almost blind you almost to be able to know that you can pick that up. So I would want to turn it off, but I just don't trust myself or the game enough. But you can turn off traversal icons, which is very nice. You can turn off the QuickTime events, the Silent Hill Origin QuickTime event. You can turn that all the way the fuck off. Thank God I don't have to see that stupid button. And by the way, that's one of the it's not critique, but it's one of those things that is a little off-putting. I do want to talk about the combat at some point too, when we get in the game, because there's some good and then there's some questionable things for Bloober's first real attempt at action gameplay, at least actually doing it in one of their games anyways. Quality and performance. PS5 performance so far has been pretty shaky, I'll be completely honest. Quality mode has that Unreal Engine frame stutter and traversal stutter, but it also has legitimate frame drops too, like couple FPS drops, like between 2 to 5 FPS sometimes. And then performance mode is just like completely fucking weird. It seems like the dynamic resolution scaling is all over the place. It's just very strange how performance mode works. Like in the beginning it's really bad and all over the place. When you get into the town and the fog is covering up a lot of the depth of field stuff, and it's covering up the not the depth of field, it's covering up probably the low draw distance of things like popping out of view, so that you can keep the level optimized without keeping everything loaded in the game world. Performance mode, it becomes like super stable in the town or like interiors. And performance mode, I swear, like even though it's a lower resolution that's upscaled to 4K, there's moments where I swear it looks sharper than quality mode. Quality mode has this soft look to it, despite being a higher resolution scale that's also upscaled to 4K. It's really cool that Bloober tried to make quality and performance the same in terms of visual fidelity. Performance mode lowers the ray tracing effects, the shadow effects, the lumen stuff from Unreal Engine 5. It looks pixely and pretty shimmery and not too great. But having a performance mode at all is just really appreciated for future playthroughs, even if it doesn't look the best, even if it doesn't perform the best. I don't know if Bloober optimizes their games post-launch, but that would be in their best interest to do that, because they can fix some of this through patching, for sure. I don't know if they'll do it, I don't know if they ever do it, but yeah, that would be a very good idea to try, because performance mode could absolutely be better, and I think quality mode can be cleaned up with those stutters, some of those stutters too, and some of those, there are legitimate frame drops in quality mode. They could absolutely try to optimize that. So, gamma correction, a little disappointed with this personally. I wish there was brightness, contrast, gamma, because for SDR, this is all you get. For HDR though, HDR is actually really fucking good with the options in this game. You have max luminance, minimum luminance, and minimal luminance for the high tones, the mid tones, the black, the lower tone. Some of it kind of raises up the black level of the gamma and the look of the game to make it look a little washed out if you don't optimize your settings in HDR, but if you know how to optimize your settings in HDR, like they give you a lot of really cool options for the picture and the UI, and the game looks really nice in HDR, like legitimately nice. It's not the best looking game in HDR because of the whole like somber color tone that they're trying to go for the game, considering Silent Hill 2 is a very somber, you know, depressing game by tone. That they do try to replicate that here in the remake a little bit, anyways. So the SDR is not like eye striking, but it's very fucking balanced, and it does look better than SDR for sure. It gets rid of a lot of that washed out gamma look that you have in SDR, and dude, I've literally optimized the fuck out of my monitor just to try to get rid of that. So HDR is really nice. I wish SDR had more than just gamma, because a game like this would really needs more settings to be truly the best looking it could possibly be, because this game is some serious business with visual fidelity. It's real shit. This is a current gen game and it looks like it on Unreal Engine 5. Being able to optimize that appropriately would be really cool. And then you have graphic mode. This 90s mode, I don't know what Bloober was I mean, I don't know if they're trying to replicate the original look of the game, but I promise you, this looks nothing like the original Silent Hill 2. The original Silent Hill 2 does not have completely pale colors to the point where they all blend into each other, and having a vigilante effect around the edges of the screen. But I guess it's just to implement a noise filter, which, I don't know. That's whatever, I guess. They have some cool inventory effects. And you got the center dot for people who have motion sickness and whatnot, because motion sickness can probably be a thing if you don't like motion blur, and the quick camera cuts of the game could probably fuck you up. I know this performance mode I don't think it has motion blur, or the motion blur just feels really toned down or just specific to certain things like object motion blur maybe. But that's always a nice thing to have in modern games now. And the high contrast mode, like ever since Naughty Dog started doing this shit, I noticed a lot of mid developers trying to go for it too, and it's very nice for people, for certain individuals, when it comes to vision, I guess. And you can change the colors, do the environment color if you want. It's also just cool to just see it in the game sometimes. And then audio stuff, we got the voiceover effect, ambient music master. And then we got UI volume as well, which is really nice. So I really like that they separated voiceover effect and ambience at the same time, because some of the ambient sounds in the game are weirdly weird in some volume levels, and they literally jump scared me when I was playing in 3D audio, because this game has actual official support for 3D audio, to the point where Bloober literally, according to the credits, Bloober apparently worked with Sony to implement some true 3D audio, like sound design here. So the sound design of this game supported 3D audio natively on the PS5 here. And I can tell you straight up, I can hear it. Like I can hear some of that detail and what they tried to do with 3D audio here. It's actually very interesting. And I currently have it on right now, because it's interesting to hear. And I guess I'll talk about that too, because sound design in the original game, literally some of the best sound design ever. Especially for those games back in 2001, like Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and 4, from those Team Silent developers, over the course of those 4 games, and there's a lot of them, and they all changed depending on each and every game. But like their sound team for each title, man, was some of the best sound design that you can hear in a game to this day, especially in a horror game. So some of the sound design here is pretty damn good too. It is pretty damn. I already noticed some flaws with it, some inconsistencies, but the approach, the execution, the idea behind it, it's there. And then you implement 3D audio with it too, and it's actually working really well with 3D audio, which I don't say that about really any PS5 games on here besides like fucking Returnal. Returnal is literally the only game I've played out of like dozens at least with 3D audio that actually enhanced the audio a little bit. Because 3D audio is literally just a gimmick. It's a fucking filter over a stereo sound, and it usually makes everything sound super echoey and weird, which it does it here as well, but it's more optimized and it's more native. Just like in general, the sound design is like the idea behind the sound design in this game is really fucking good, and I do like some of the things that they're trying to do with it. So being able to turn up and down all the volumes is really nice. I'm just keeping it at default just for now. Then the control settings, just like the original game, because the original game had customizable controls, and then it also has the modern day controls, and they don't have like different layouts. You have to create your own layout. So they allow you to control your own layouts instead, but they have a default layout that they show here. So far it works pretty well. Sprint toggle, you got aim assist, magnetism. I don't even know what this is yet because I gotta get a fucking gun. And the vibration is like super intense in this game, so I turned it on medium. It is actually nuts. I'm not sure what to do with this. I think I'm gonna do hold for this because I want to see what it does for that. We got aim sensitivity, all this wonderful stuff. I don't know what that is, but these are settings that work for me. You got a dead zone for the right stick, the adaptive triggers, all the DualSense stuff. But yeah, the vibration is actually really nuts. Like every time I get hit by an enemy, the vibration feels like it's fucking going on overload, which is a little strange, honestly. And then you got a lot of language for text, which is a very nice touch. And then you got audio language, which is English and Japanese, which is very, very cool that they actually have that for the West over here too. And then you got all the text stuff, and the text stuff is also very cool for fonts, for item notifications, for tips visibility. You can change that font, which is really, really nice. You got colors for subtitles, you got the backgrounds for subtitles. Tutorial visibility, same deal there. You got transcription, text size for reading notes, which is also there. Turn on and off that if you want. So, a lot of cool shit here. And then you got the accessibility options readily available here. They have this, which is a constant fucking indicator on the screen. It never disappears. And then when your radio goes off, it just like the lines go crazy, pretty much. And then also they do a really cool thing with the radio as well. They play the radio. If you're using speakers and not headphones, they play the radio sound from the controller speaker instead. So some of those settings are very cool. And before you even play the game, you are like diving straight into that shit, which is really, really cool. It's nice to have a lot of options for trying to cater to everybody who's going to play this game. You know, really trying to do that. But here we go. We're playing on hard. Hard. Starting at Woodside Apartments. So I have not seen anything past this point. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. Playing with 3D audio right now, I might turn it off. And we are going to sit here, just like we have sat here and explained things for 45 minutes. And we are going to play this very slow. I'm going to over-analyze probably everything, because Silent Hill is really fun to play like that for me. That's how I played every new Silent Hill thing ever. You know, in January when I played the short message, I didn't go as in depth with that because that was just a free game, and I was sort of kind of quickly going through it for the most part, just like kind of brushing over shit. But every new Silent Hill thing, I always like playing it really slow. Silent Hill is all about detail. It's all about details. A game, again, I hate bringing up this stupid fucking comparison because it's just two completely different types of games, but because it's a direct competitor that Konami created for Resident Evil, the concepts behind Resident Evil is gameplay. I always want to experience all the gameplay mechanics in a Resident Evil game. When it comes to Silent Hill, things are very slowed down, and you want to look at a lot of visual details. You want to look at notes. You want to see things. You want to try and piece together details that go outside the realm of just normal gameplay. That's something that Bloober has done very well in their games. And it's something they're doing very fucking good here, on top of trying to replicate better action gameplay for the first time in one of their games. So far, pretty cool. I don't want to spoil anything of what I saw in the town, but there's some very cool references to the OG game that I've seen time and time and time again. Keyword is time. And I always saw the same time. And I'm pretty damn sure it's a reference, because it kept seeing the same fucking time over and over and over again in the town. And that was a very cool little touch. That's gotta be intentional. And I'm very curious in the apartments here if things are similar, and if we're gonna have to go through time all over again. So yeah. So I do see some of these hints. Oh wow, it's literally any button. They're not lying. So I do see some of these hints. So they do talk about like the flashlight. I'm curious how the flashlight stuff works. Does it work like the OG, or is it something like completely different? So I just like doing this. When you save, it's just like a wave of fucking bass and just eerie ass ambience. The more I save, the more I kind of like this whole concept here. James just looking straight into the red square, just his mind is just all foggy, and he's really focused on it. But one thing that's very cool is that if you really wanted to play the game like the OG, where you turned off all the icons and shit, Bloober did try to facilitate that by James looking at every single interactable object again, which is very, very cool. Alright. And there's the time, by the way. Kept seeing that throughout the entire fucking town, and I swear that's a reference. Here we go. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what I'm even doing. Clearly, this is completely different. Like, this is not even close to the same thing. This is entirely fucking different. All the numbers are different. I don't even know where the courtyard is. I think that big space on the left is a courtyard. We have 203A. Got a question mark for 217 about a gun not being there. And a note I just read, even though it's probably there. And then we got a third floor. We got like these white blocks or whatever. I don't know if there's like windows or something. So, very interesting. We have coin cabinets because they do have the coin puzzle here, I guess. Which is very, very interesting to have the coin puzzle there. It's like smack dab in the middle of everything here. So, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine that the combat, or the riddle difficulty, affects this puzzle just like it did in the original. But it is an interesting thing here. 3 bright coins, 3 actors in play, yet within the shade, not one doth remain. The one once so gallant has fled from day's sheen, as far as he could from the icon of sin. Fucking course, the Doom. I just literally think of Doom 2. It's like they had an attempt there, they tried. The one whom he swore to shield in her life now lays in a grave away from his sight. Pretty sure that's the hard difficulty riddle. I'm pretty sure that's got to be affected, just like the OG. That seems pretty out there when it comes to the explanation. So I'm using 3D audio right now, which I would never ever do in a fucking game ever, because I don't like the filter over the stereo image. But This game has true native support for 3D audio. It's in the credits. They seemingly worked with Sony to try and implement real native like 3D audio support with the sound design and audio engine that they had for this game, whatever it is. And so I hear James and I hear radio from the left side all the time, and it's really jarring. But whenever you interact with an object and around you, you hear the object 360 fucking degrees, and it's like it's real, like it's real 360 degree sound. And the echo and the ambience behind these sound effects in the game, the way they're implemented, really does make it sound pretty cool on 3D audio. It's always going to sound a little digitized and a little fake, but it's just the way they implemented it is a lot better than most games. Like, the only game I've played on a PS5 that I even felt like 3D audio enhanced it in any way was Returnal. And that has been it. This game is pretty up there with 3D audio, and I think people should seriously get on testing this shit because it's really fucking good. It can be really fucking good. It all depends on your headset or headphones that you use. But so far, like, I just want to see what it sounds like here for a bit. And maybe I'll turn it off at some point too. To hell. Oh, they put the hell thing down here. So I read a note here. And I guess I picked it up here. So it says Woodside Apartment. Letter found in one of the mailboxes at Woodside Apartments. So this is the first thing I read in Woodside Apartments here. So it says, Dear Madam, in response to your complaint regarding the gunshots coming from apartment 217, we have paid a visit to the tenant and he assured us that he does not own any firearms. He is fully cooperative and granted us access to the apartment. True to his words, we did not find any weapons or traces of using one. Should the noise persist, please inform the janitor. Sincerely, Woodside Apartments Administration. And then James circled or put a question mark on the map for that apartment, where there's totally not a gun there, and we're totally not gonna experience anything crazy over there at all. It's gonna be very straightforward. We're gonna walk in there and nothing's gonna happen.
Hello? Is anyone there?
So we're obviously going to get to some combat here, and I do want to talk about combat, because there are some things about combat here that I think are very surprising for Bloober, considering this is their first attempt at putting it in one of their games. And I want to commend it, because at first, when Konami marketed the game with footage showing James meleeing enemies, it looked pretty rough, because Konami fucking sucks. They're terrible. They used early footage to the point where the Bloober CEO came out and acknowledged that it was early footage and that Konami should not have been using that because it's early footage. It's in development footage that they were apparently either should not be using or should not have used as much of, I guess. Whatever that is. So later on, months later, they come out with a trailer, or they show more gameplay of the game, and sure enough, the combat looks a little more improved, looks a little more polished, a little more refined, a little more developed. And then the demo footage of the game about a month ago came out from various outlets that played the game early at an event, and they showed that the melee was actually pretty decent. Jank, but decent. And now here in the final version of the game, the release of the game, the combat is surprisingly responsive for melee. Like, it is legit. It's a little jank. It's not as good as the competitor, the Resident Evil games. But the jank kind of fits, in my opinion, with, James as a very normal-ass dude. And he's actually a bit of a superhuman in this game compared to the OG because it's a modern game now. But, like, the lock-on for melee is pretty strong. The dodging is pretty interesting. Like, James, like, the dodging, seems a little gamey, but also kind of believable in some ways. Which, for Bloober's first attempt at doing some real combat, I think it's pretty fucking good, man. There's some cool logic to the enemy fights in this game, too. It's not just like whack, 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 you know, maybe a dodge here or there. Like, there's a repetition to the melee that, you know, there's a learning curve to it that I think is interesting for a horror game. This is not Dark Souls. It doesn't need that much, you know, diversity and doesn't need that much complexity. You just need to be able to whack something and dodge and have a rhythm to it, you know? Have a learning curve to it. It shouldn't be as complex as something like a Souls game. It's a horror game. And so there's a rhythm to this, and there's a rhythm to this, to the whacking, to the dodging. And for their first attempt at doing that, I think it's very fucking cool. It is definitely not perfect. Like, it has its moments. But, you know, we all veteran fans, they've all played the original Silent Hill games, and one thing we're all going to tell you is that the original Silent Hill games are definitely not built for pure gameplay. It is a video game, but the gameplay has always been pretty rough. It's always been more about the story, the narrative, looking around the environments, finding notes. That's a glitch. And the gameplay and combat facilitates and supports that. Whereas this remake tries to balance out both narrative, exploration, and gameplay at the same time. Also, I will say, man, the purist inside of me, when I always talk about Silent Hill 2, the original game, I always say that Silent Hill 2 is one of the most relaxing and somber horror games I've ever played. It is an introvert's dream to play a game as silent and quiet and deserted as Silent Hill 2. It's a very peaceful, relaxing type of game, the original. This remake is definitely more traditional and modern in that sense. They are trying to scare you in this remake. Silent Hill 2 scares you with a number of different concepts, from narrative to some of the visual design, through some of the enemies, but it's mainly just its narrative and mainly the horror that you interpret in front of you in the original Silent Hill 2. In this game, the horror is trying to scare you throughout corners and dark corridors. Traditional horror concepts are here in the remake, and I will say that it's a little, you know, over the top, because Bloober is over the top. That is who they are. And they did settle down here, at least in the very beginning of the game. They did settle some things down, but again, Silent Hill 2 is such a somber, subtle, natural feeling game that even with Bloober settling it down a little bit, they still go a little over the top sometimes. They, you know, some of the sound, you know, some of the jump scares of the sounds and the enemies in corners, and I'm sure we're going to experience it right here with the mannequins, where they are trying to jump out at you and scare you in this game. And I don't mind some of it, but I'm sure there's going to be some part of it that's just like, okay. You know, Silent Hill 2 is not all that. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how they do it. This type of jump scare is fine, because I already know what's going to happen. The mannequin's going to come out from a fucking corner, probably. Like, stuff like this would be fine, because that's what the original game does. But I do notice in the first part of the town that they were going a little hard with some of the audio jump scares and stuff. So we'll see what happens in the apartments here. So they do have, like, the mannequins, huh? So where's the mannequin, huh? Where are you? Where are you at? Are you here? You there? Where you at? Oh, that's definitely the attire. Getting some arm crunches in there. Getting some good reps there. Ow. Ow. Ow again. Heal, James, heal. So some of like the camera, like like that little chase camera that they try to do when you melee stuff is kind of funny. So yeah. So the cool thing about, you know what? Let me just put let me just get my let me just put my webcam back into color again so I can actually show it off because I think it's really fucking cool. But like when you are so instead of this Vigiante effect in the game, which is obnoxious, and I don't know if it shows right now because I'm in caution. Oh yeah, this is caution. This is caution status with the Vigiante effect, and it just gets obnoxious and danger. So instead of using that visual, which is completely fine to put in the game, by the way, like people want that, people need that, some people need that. And there's nothing wrong with putting it in the game. It's just the way they implemented it is so blinding. It's ridiculous looking. You don't need to go super that hard with it. So instead of doing that, the DualSense, and this is the first time I've ever seen this in a horror game. I don't think something like Capcom with Resident Evil needs to do this for Resident Evil. I think it actually fits a lot more with something like this game. But the way that Bloober implemented the health status on your DualSense for this horror game is they are pulsing the light bar. So I'm in caution right now. So it goes from like yellow, orange, and like slight red. It's kind of hard to see it on this piece of shit HD camera. It just looks like red on the camera, but like it goes from yellow, orange, and then almost into like a red because I'm in caution right now. And it's a really cool touch because not only do you see it, not only is it there visually, and if you don't recognize anything visually, because someone fucking said this shit on my Threads account, like, what the hell, you don't even look down at your controller, bro, you don't even look at it. So most people don't look down, right? So they don't see the pulse, but you feel it. And then if you're playing with speakers, you can hear the radio during combat as well. To the point where it literally like it'll spike up like a really high frequency sound from the radio, and you'll be like, "Damn, bro, speaker's loud as fuck." And then I'll look down, like, "Oh shit, look at the pulsing on that." So it's a really cool feature that I've always wanted to. I wanted to see it in RE4 with Capcom because I thought that would work well with the health bar in that game, considering Leon is like contaminated with the Plagas. So I thought having a pulsing health bar would have been like really fucking cool in that remake. But this is the first time I've seen it really done in a horror game before, and Bloober did a really cool job with it. And it's nice to have an alternative to that Vigiante if you don't want it on.
These clothes.
Oh, he just says it, huh? He just says it. Whoa. Huh. So I think they're trying to get me to look in that cabinet, huh? Like, I'm also seeing like if I took off the interaction icons too, I do see that Bloober tried to like provide hints for the player on things to open up, like at least the key things to like open up. If I turned off the interaction icons. What does that say? Shoot? Shoot courtyard key. Oh. Like I do notice that they try to provide some visual hints in the level design if I turned off the interaction icons. At least for the key items. And I think that's a really, really cool thing that Bloober's doing there, because Bloober is really handcrafting some of those hints in the level design. And I gotta seriously respect and call that out, because, hey man, there's a lot of modern games that don't give a shit, and they're just drawing up the yellow paint and the yellow arrows to direct you in certain places, and another particular company that that is developing the competitor over here does that all the fucking time in their games, and people talk about it every time it comes out, and I agree. It kills some of the immersion, and Silent Hill is a lot about visual immersion. So the fact that Bloober actually went completely out of their way to actually facilitate hints in the level design through aesthetic consistency is a very cool fucking thing. And you don't see it as much with modern games anymore. Because it's very difficult, probably, to pull off, I would imagine. And it probably takes a lot of time to make and pull it off well in a way where QA testers will notice it, right? So it's very cool to see that from Bloober, and doing it really, really well here, it seems like. How many things do I have here? 5. So this color right now in the inventory is also another cool health indicator too, besides just DualSense. The color of my inventory right now, because I have the inventory effect on, which you can turn off in the menu, is telling me what my health status is as well, which is very cool. So if I went full health in the green, this item screen would look normal. Anything here? No doorknob there. The fuck? Hey, heavy viper. Huh? What does that mean? Something, something. I do like how they, not only did they keep the concept of the windows here, but they also kept the concept of that up above. And shining the light on the map when you first walk in the apartments too. And hearing whatever the hell that is. So, one, I guess, little disappointment I have with the vibration of the game is that there's no haptic feedback for, like, walking and running. You don't feel the footsteps in this game, but for certain things that you do, right, the melee, there's haptic feedback for melee swings and melee attacks for opening doors and doing particular things. But you still have the haptic feedback for those footsteps. It's like a little jarring, I guess. Like, I don't really need vibration. I don't really give that much of a fuck, but since they implemented it, I think it's interesting that they didn't implement the footsteps too. I like the glow from windows in this game. It kind of glitched out earlier in the game, but like there's this really cool looking glow in the windows and stuff. It looks really cool. I am just spam saving as well, and I'm very glad I was doing that earlier. Like yesterday in the playthrough, cause like holy fuck, I was on the struggle a little bit with the melee, trying to figure that shit out. And I was dying a couple times trying to figure that out, but I'm pretty sure I got a good grip on it now. I kind of just get it. This game needs a photo mode, or PC people need to like zoom into these notes, because there's some legit notes here. And there's also very legitimate text on like the graveyard stones at the very beginning of the game, and there's some very interesting things to read throughout the town that you can only really see if I zoom in, and they're readable, and they're definitely relevant. So hopefully some people on PC will get to zoom into some of these notes. I mean, they're all repetitive too. Like this, obviously they're repeating the same assets here, but it's still interesting to see that they did that. Anything else here? I feel like they can brighten up this light a little bit. Like some of these interior lights are a little dim to me, I think. Like even in HDR, when I played in HDR, I feel like it could have been a little bit brighter. Guess we're going here. Shoot graveyard key. Well, this is a lot different now, isn't it? Oh yeah, the dynamic resolution scaling too. Holy shit, it's really fucking weird. Not too great. Like the moment you look up in the sky and then look back down again. That's actually not too bad here, but the fog is like really struggling when you do shit like that or do really quick camera cuts. As cool as the fog can look sometimes, it has moments like this where it kind of flickers and looks a little strange. And I think it looks like that on PC too, so it's not just like a console thing. This is the courtyard? Oh, there's like two different versions. So the one behind us, that's probably the normal like courtyard from the OG game. Oh, here it is. Is that like the normal one? Sure looks like it. Can't see any enemies. Garbage chute. These are not used until the problem is resolved. Yeah. Yep, that is garbage. Apparently they had a so also they have like particular set pieces in this remake that apparently are callbacks to the original set pieces for things. And the garbage chute set piece here, because it's different here, was outside of the apartment door, entrance door, and it was a literal fucking dumpster with the door of the garbage chute from the original game in the dumpster. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. We're just throwing away the old and doing a new with literally the exact same concept, but without the door, I guess. Yeah, that is some trash right there. That's Konami all day over there. Okay, I gotta critique this as well. This is fucking weird. This is such a very small, stupid nitpick that means nothing, but like, this is modern day logic here that I'm not like too fond of, to be honest. Like, I don't know how that just closes in that particular spot. I don't know how that makes any fucking sense. I've already had to do this 3 times now. I really don't want to keep doing this shit, it's weird. I guess this is all I can do, huh? O'Kane siblings murder. O'Kane siblings murder. Perpetrator commits suicide in custody. Oh, it's the Walter Sullivan note. Walter Sullivan, the culprit in a recent homicide case, was found dead having taken his own life on the morning of the 22nd in his jail cell. According to the police statement, Sullivan's death was caused by blood loss, resulting from severing his carotid artery with a soup spoon buried 2 inches in his neck. Sullivan was apprehended on the 18th of this month on account of brutally murdering Billy and Miriam Locane. Even though Walter Sullivan did not strike a former schoolmate from his hometown of Pleasant River as someone capable of murdering children, The schoolmate admits to having witnessed Sullivan in a state of severe paranoia shortly before his arrest. He was blurting out all sorts of strange stuff like he's trying to kill me, he's trying to punish me, the monster, the red devil. Forgive me, I did it, but it wasn't me, he recounts. I guess now that I think of it, he was kind of crazy, the schoolmate concludes. So they put a note here, interesting. Okay, so I have a critique here from Bloober as well. So sometimes I am looking at objects in this game, and I took some pictures of it in the town area. I was looking at like certain menus in like a restaurant. It almost looks misprinted. Not in the sense of the newspaper is like curved, like misprinted. Like sometimes if you get a newspaper back in the day, sometimes the newspaper would literally be misprinted out of the printer, and you would get like partially a curved text on a newspaper. Like that would happen occasionally. It seems like they're trying to like replicate that, but it doesn't look right. Like it looks too like the text looks very clean still, and then I see like the distortedness of the text on like the left hand side. It just looks almost looks too clean. Like they just literally put a decal over a newspaper like layout, and they just kind of spread it out a little bit and misarranged it a little bit and deformed it a little bit, and it just doesn't look right. And I noticed that in a menu in a cafe, I think, where it was the same exact menu layout, but it was slightly deformed on the left and slightly deformed on the right, and it literally looked like it was just sort of copy and pasted as a decal on a layout rather than authentically looking like that by design. So I've noticed this a couple times now, and I'm critiquing it and saying something about it because it just looks strange. And I think Bloober could definitely do a better job in the future with their future titles. Ammo. It's a bug. Thank God the bugs are like literal jokes in this remake. I'm so happy about that. I guess I have another critique too as well when it comes to this remake, when it comes to the radio sound and the combat. Like in the original game, the radio sound would emit when you're closer to enemies, and that would be almost ominous at times because it would happen around certain corners or happen like in the fog in the streets of the town. And sometimes the radio would play and you wouldn't see the enemy right away because it would be like you would be like at a distance or something. In this remake, when you're near an enemy or near something that can attack you and the radio sounds go off in the game, James pulls his weapon out of his wherever, his ass, or out of his jacket immediately once he's close to an enemy to attack him. Every single time. And I think that takes away from part of the mystery of the enemies a little bit. They did not have to do that. Because you can attack immediately, because I think the whole point is that you can seamlessly attack without having to equip it first and then attack. It seems like they tried to modernize this, but in direct trade-off of modernizing it, they also take away some of the mystery, in my opinion, of the enemy when the radio sounds off at like a certain distance and you still can't see the enemy, like in the original game, and then having to manually equip it yourself. I wish you had an option to manually equip your weapons and then manually unequip it versus forcefully having this seamless, modernized take on how you use weapons in the game. Because I just think it's strange to immediately equip your weapon the moment you're near enemy presence, because I've already had a situation in the town where I didn't actually visibly see the enemy, but yet James is pulling out a weapon. So I just think that's really weird. So what is this? Nothing? A closet? Why is there a question mark? Question mark for what? Why is there a question mark? Oh, the garbage chute. I see. I forgot. The hell is that, bro? It's like ladders or something. See? Right here. There's an enemy nearby. Right there. And he pulled out a weapon. Before I was even able to see the enemy, and before the radio pulled out. I'm not used to them yet. So that was, again, that just happened when my critique of James pulling out a weapon. When the moment there's enemy presence at all, like I think that's really, really strange. I just think that's like super strange, to be honest. Cause like I can't even get surprised that there's an enemy in the way. And that's something they can patch too. So I don't know if they will, because I don't know if they patch anything. I don't know if these items are like set items or like random. Also, the flashlight thing, that really does not need to be there. To be like, that's just so artificial looking, to be honest. What's in here? Just another long ass hallway. Got it. Bro. Bro. I thought the flashlight was supposed to help me. Ooh. Well, these mannequins are very fucking jank. Holy shit. Chug, chug, James, chug. Oh, that's weird. They are weird. To To be fair, I had the same issue with the town area too at first, before learning how to dodge the lying heads appropriately as well. So hopefully this will be something I can learn too. I do not want to heal the whole fucking time. The t-shirts. What do they mean? The new damnation? The new damnation? Oh, that's everything. Speaker. 110. Well, Bloober tried with the shadows. They tried. There was an attempt. Oh, it looks a lot better in the cutscene.
Hey! Wait! Damn it.
Damn it.
What's a kid doing here?
Good question, James. Can hear like enemies and shit in the background. Damn it. And this animation for just being in caution. Not even in the orange. It's pretty fucking crazy. Where am I going? I see we got Solid Snake over there with the key. It says that I can go through 10. I can just go through that hallway? So Laura opens that door to go through that hallway? Yes. Yes, she does. And now it's open. Right. Alright, hopefully, more heals are here. Excuse me? Where? Oh. It's down there. Courtyard stuff, windows, and then 101. I guess those white things are windows. So they can get to the park from the courtyard. It is way different. There's two of you bitch asses. I like their idle, because enemies, like, you can run away from them in this remake, and they do like chase you, and then after a certain distance they will stop. But like the lying head figures, they have like an idle animation where they literally just kind of like look around when they're patrolling you. It's kind of funny. I can't. I don't think you can see it really. Oh, there it is. It has like the old school sound effect a little bit in there too. They look funny. Will you follow me? I think I'm glitching it out. Oh, I'm definitely glitching it out for sure. There we go. There you go. Well, I got hit once. I'll take that, I guess. So what the hell is this here? How does this just randomly open up under here? It's so strange how you have doors just randomly opening up and shit. Nice camera. The TV again. Valentine's Day. Also in the remake, you're getting these weird pictures around here, and they all have a number behind it. So we have, I think we have 6, this is 4, and we have a 1. And they all depict like random objects. This is Valentine's Day. I don't know what this is yet, but I feel like I have an idea. I just don't know what, I don't know like what the purpose is of it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I need that very badly. Am I green now? Thank God. Almost a wheelchair. Sounds like a projector or something. Boots, what could it mean? Is that actually all there is in? Okay. The cord's not cut. I didn't get the key yet, but I want to go down here first. I guess that's literally it. Wait, what does that say in the map? The the cabinet, the coin cabinet. What's that question mark? Away I go. fucking air and shit. That is fucking loud, like loud. Almost like distorting in my fucking ears. Gee, I wonder who that is. Are any of these locked? Or 106 is locked. So loud as shit. I like their whole ripped ceiling thing that they're doing in this game. It's probably pretty important to perfect that for this game. But it is really cool looking. Alright, where's the next random enemy in a corner? Hairdryer. Something. What did it say? I can't even read upside down. So, what is this? What? No dress? Golden apple handle. Interesting. Golden apple handle. And a white dress. Interesting. I like this ambient track in the background. Second floor hallway. That's what it says, right? Redwood. Insane Blue Min. Probably completely butchered that. Robert Schumann. 82.3 Opus. Yeah? I see done. And then whatever else that is. Music. Hey James, would you like to play some piano? Oh.
Huh. Quite the artist.
Bunny? We're gonna go from bunny to like dog and then cat by the hotel. No more bunny. I guess she likes drawing stuff around here. We out. That's where this. What the fuck is going on outside? That's where this. That's where the remake struggles a little bit here. Some of that melee like spreads out into like these really tight corridors, right? That camera gets really jank sometimes. So you have to be like strategic almost in how you approach some enemies. Making sure there's no enemies anywhere else. A stuffed animal. You get a pretty decent amount of ammo here, even on hard, before getting to use the handgun. If you can just give me like 10 heals, that'd be great. Wait, what? Oh shit. Please deliver these to Mrs. Millie from 102. I'm really worried about her. She's been cooped up all alone with his belongings for days on end. She won't even move them, and God forbid anyone else touch anything. It's breaking my heart just thinking about it. From 102. Huh. Deliver what? The flowers? I can't deliver it? Maybe there's still somebody there, who knows? 102? I already went there. Oh. Was that the hint of the photograph that we picked up? They call it Strange Photos, and it says Valentine's Day, which depicts flowers, right? Yeah. So I guess that's like the hint of getting flowers. I do like the little detail there. Where they keep the key inside the keyhole. Heal, save. I'm gonna save like 500 times in this fucking game probably. In my first playthrough. Do you put this here? There's nothing up there, it seems like. Wait, what is it? It says read? Oh. I wonder if enemies respawn on hard difficulty. Also, can I read this? Yeah, I can. Alright, this is just bothering the hell out of me. I need to stop getting hit, dude. Yeah, so we pick up the photo from here, right? And that's like the whole hint for that, I guess. Man, I am over-checking goddamn everything. What's that picture? This looks like a couple or something. Alright, second floor, here we go. Okay. Crew. Whistlet. What? The fuck? I hate when they do this. That's definitely coming back alive. Can I just kill it before it comes back alive? Curious. Doesn't seem like they can. It seems like they keep it inactive. And then they jump scare you. Is that a locked door? It is a locked door. Gains access to all that over there. Oh, there it is. There's the cart. The carriage. No enemies! At least not yet. I like the little effect that they have at the on the windows and stuff. Really? Hey, what's up, man? Hey, you get nice up close and personal now. Man, it's like, it's in fucking tense. Just bass. Just nothing but bass the whole fucking time. A door here. Well, have fun, Pyramid Head. I'll be back later. For building emergencies, what is that? Garbage chute? It's so shardy. That's all you got for me, James? Is that, You gotta hear that and see that the whole fucking time you're here? Oh, good God, it's fucking dark. Oh, but now we're changing to this one now. I do find the ambient song choices, the way they switch up, just like really quick, I guess. It almost sounds jarring, like how many of the ambient tracks they try to play at once. Is that the note for the clock that they're referencing? Sure, it looks like it. Same wallpaper. Oh, the widescreen version of the wallpaper? Oh, I see. And then the scratched wall here. Oh, that's clever. Oh, there's the rip. Right here. Right. Okay. That's cool. Now, how are you gonna do the clock, Bloober? What's gonna be your reinvention? Still there? I like that. It's Bloober being subtle. They're not going over the top, you know? Not yet anyways. Wow. Holy shit. They just straight up took this from the original game, dude. This is crazy to me. Like, Bloober, they're taking, like, literally some billboards 1-to-1 and signs and just straight up putting it in the game almost one-to-one like. At least it looks like it anyways. Almost like they're ripping it from the original and like upscaling it somehow, or like completely redrawing it. It'd be very cool to get like some context over how they implemented a lot of the original like signs and stuff, because it looks really, really good. Like really fucking good. Like one-to-one to the original almost. My favorite is always the Giga computers from the original Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2. I wish you could have gone into that place. I'm actually disappointed. But like recreating that, the Roadrunner sign, so many other signs too besides that, the cafe signs. Like they do, it's really good. Pretty sure some of this here is from the original, but I'm not 100%. Where are we at here? Due to the ongoing renovation works, tenants are asked to keep out of the third floor of the building. Third floor of the building, huh? Administration again? Toluca something? Sincerely... Well, there's a scribble there. What's the scribble? Oh, I thought it said what on the middle bottom of the note. I thought it said... I thought apartments was spelled with a 4. But it's an A. Alright, let's put an apple in there. Now what? Well, I thought they were gonna lead us into that room with the butterflies and shit. I guess not. Gotcha baited. I wish the walking speed was just a tiny bit faster, man. Cause like the run speed is nice. It's a nice pace, nice little jog. But sometimes when I'm just kind of scanning through the environments a little bit, it's just a little too fast to kind of just stop and go and then stop and then go and stop. Like the toggle sprint is nice to be able to do that, but I would like to rather walk instead sometimes. I just wish the walk was a tiny bit faster. So some of that white like glitching stuff going on, I think that's the lumen ray tracing or whatever it's called in Unreal Engine 5. Happens in like quick camera cuts and stuff. It's kind of funny. Oh, here's 217. And wow, look at totally not a gun in here. Surprised James can see stuff. Wasn't that just interesting looking? We got a gun! Oh, S. And there it is. L2, R2, huh? Oh, nice. Yep, that's a handgun, alright. Alright, moment of truth. How's it feel? Oh, it doesn't feel too bad. Huh. Oh, I see. Okay, so what we got going on here, huh? We got some random idle sway here. It seems we got some idle sway. I don't know if it's random. Uh-huh. What is it doing? Let's do the dynamic. Is it moving? No. Alright, good. It closes in. Alright. Bloober's doing it. We're not doing the reticle bloom and idle sway like RE4 Remake where we're stacking on 10 different accuracy penalties. We're just keeping it nice and simple. Thank God. Bloober's doing it. They're doing it big. We're gonna have thick. I want to see what this is doing for a bit, and then I'll put it back to a dot or something. That's a nice little touch on this room here. So 15, eh? And let me guess, there's totally not going to be an enemy outside to shoot first, right? So that's how they have the whole weapon system seamless, right? So you aim with the gun first, like that, and then he immediately switches to a wooden plank. What is this? Oh, it's the flashlight. I'm not gonna lie, that's a little weird. I kind of wish there was an old school system with just equipping one thing at a time. But you can equip it with a shortcut too in the D-pad. It's a little goofy, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. A little goofy there. Where? Bro, my hair is way too fucking long, dog. Here, hold on, let me adjust my shit real quick. Okay. Alrighty. I'm good. Let's get it. Ooh, I can now I can zoom in. Nice. Bang. Bang? Something. Ah, a little cubby here, huh? Well, this is all the ammo I could find. The hell's that sound? Really? They just took it from the original game? Wow. Oh. Oh. That's why they play this scene, or this ambient track here. Just cover him up in a blanket. I kind of like this. I actually do kind of like this design choice because I think it's in a modern day graphics. You know, it's pretty easy to see even in the original game. So I kind of like it. I actually kind of like it being covered up here because the visual fidelity of the game would just instantaneously give it away. What the hell is that? Which, in the remake here, they're not trying to do that right away, it seems like. 212, huh? Is that something playing, or is that like a glitch with the guy? to 212, huh? 201 is over there too. It's upside down. My man is gone. Oh, is this why he's gone? Huh. Yeah, the adaptive triggers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Give me more heals, please. Got some running water in there. Cigarettes and liquor. It must mean something. Guess we're doing this now, huh? Interesting how they jumble up all the original game events and stuff. This game is just screaming for a photo mode. A cane. Belt? Oh, hey! Time to test this. We're getting a little eerie, aren't we? What's that? Oh shit. Careers, humble beginnings. Careers, humble beginnings. Crumpled up paper next to a can, garbage can. 7. So we got a 6, a 4, a 1, and a 7. What the hell is this? Okay, I like that. I like that name. See, I like stuff like this. Bloober's doing a lot of this stuff here, where they're giving you visual or sound hints of, like, to approach something in the game. Like this. Sometimes it's a little loud and out there, like this one, but then there's other times where it's a little more subtle. And I really, really like that stuff. A lot. Like, instead of doing the lazy paint approach, they are just like going all out with the level hints instead, which is very cool to me. I'm scared. Oh boy, we're over on the other side. Oh, that's cool. They still have the cement blocked off doorways here. Heal, James, heal. And then magically take out your gun to reload. Alright. Sometimes it's a little fucking jank. Just a little jank. I'm liking the gun. Liking the gun shooting. Gun shooting feels... There's a consistency to this. I like it. After fucking playing RE4 Remake, I think anything will feel good, to be honest, but there's a nice consistency here. They don't go overboard. It's down here. It's like a hallway or something. So, like, do they see me? They kind of do that idle effect. Is there, like, stealth in this game? Damn, bro, how am I missing? Wasted too many bullets. Okay, James, fine. Just stop being fucking weird, James. What is this? That's a shortcut. Okay. That's fucking loud. I actually really love how loud things are in this game. That's really nice. It is just in your... Some things are just in your face, which I kind of like about this. Just because of the tone. It just fits the tone of what they're trying to do here, it seems like. Heal, heal, and save. Thank God. This animation is a little too ridiculous, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I am in caution. But like, Jesus, man. I have one drink left? Whatever it is. I'm so sick and tired of this animation. Can I go up here?